So, so today, as I mentioned, we have Ms. Dedri Dino, who is the head of admissions for Webster University, Vienna, who is going to talk about the overall process for students in terms of their admission, in terms of any requirements that are required for the students to get into Webster University. And furthermore, after this presentation, we will also have a Q&A at the end. We will keep 10 minutes for the Q&A so that in case you have any questions, you can drop your questions in the chat box, and we would be really happy to help you and take you through all the answers. Thank you so much once again for joining. I will hand over to Dedri further so that she can brief you about the university and Vienna as a location. Dedri, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sina, and thank you so much for organizing this event for prospective students and interested parents, perhaps, for those who would like to actually or are currently exploring Vienna, Austria as a location for where they would pursue their bachelor's or master's degree studies. I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Perfect. So I hope it's not too loud and not too faint. I'm going to start by sharing my presentation, the usual, and hopefully, let's see if I can quickly move on to the presentation. I hope everybody can see that.
Yes, Dedri, it is visible. Thank you.
Thank you so much for confirming. I'm going to go on presentation mode. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them later and we'll address them one by one. So as Sina mentioned, I would like to first introduce Vienna, Austria, and also to introduce myself briefly. My name is Dedri Dino. I am the head of admissions and advising at Webster University, and I am not originally from Austria.
Hi, I'm really sorry, Saksham. Can you please mute? Hello? Hello? Sorry about it. I would just quickly mute the person who is not muted. Yes, done. Sorry, Dedri, please go ahead.
I think it's still a remnant of the pandemic years when we still don't know how to mute and unmute.
Yes, yes.
So as Sina explained previously, we are going to tackle, first of all, Vienna as a location and Austria as a particular country that you may or may not already know about. And of course, I'm also going to introduce our university a little bit later with a brief history and of course, some of the requirements in the programs that we offer. Right, so first of all, where in the world is Austria? Now, I get this a lot from students. I am originally from Southeast Asia, and many, many years ago, before I came to Austria, 20 years ago, a lot of people didn't really know much about Austria because it's a tiny country, and it always got confused with Australia, which is obviously a much bigger country and is in a totally different location. So if you're located in Asia or in the Middle East, obviously you're going to head towards a different direction if you mean Australia. Whereas if you go to Austria, you are going to actually go to Europe. So Austria is a European country. As you can see, we always have this really nice joke here in Austria where we actually have T-shirts that show that there are no kangaroos in Austria because we're not Australia. And it's a running joke for most people here that people will always think we have crocodiles and kangaroos, which is not the case because this is a tiny country, not tiny, but a smaller, relatively small country in Europe. It's actually considered to be Central Europe, and it's a gateway to the East and West. As you can see on the right side of this presentation, Austria is south of Germany and the Czech Republic, and it's west of Slovak Republic and Hungary, and north of Slovenia, and of course, east of Switzerland and France. So it's definitely not down under. It's right in the middle of Europe. And it's obviously something that I also didn't know as a child because we weren't familiar with this country. But I learned a lot from it because of my personal experience, having an aunt that who married an Austrian and came to Austria the year I was born. Anyway, just few quick facts about Austria. For those of you who have a massive knowledge of history, you probably already know most of these things. But for those who are new to Austria, the capital is Vienna. Yeah, Vienna is actually more popular than Austria itself. Whenever people ask me where I live, I say Vienna because it's automatically, they know it's in Europe. The official language is German. So this is the official language in Austria. It is a bit different from German. right? So Austrian German is a little bit different from German German. And even though we have a lot of German citizens here in Austria, they still need to adjust because certain terms are different, right? The accent is also different. So the southern part of Germany, for example, the Bavarian region, they do have a very similar accent with Austria. And within Austria, we also have different accents. So obviously, the accent in Vienna is different from the accents of other people from outside Vienna, particularly if they go towards the western part, here closer to Switzerland. It is a part of the European Union since 1995. The currency is the euro, not a dollar, not the Deutschmark, not the shilling, which is what the currency had been before we adopted the euro. And it's also been a member of the European Economic Area since January 1st, 1999, and a member of the Schengen territories since 1997. So the Schengen means that this group of countries, they don't have border control. So you could basically travel freely from one territory to another. There is a difference because, for example, the Schengen region does not include Ireland, which is part of the European Union. So students, for example, who have a residence permit in Austria cannot go freely to Ireland until you have a tourist visa. So that's the basic difference. There are also Schengen countries which are not in the EU. So you have to be careful, but usually students who have a student residence permit in Austria can travel within the Schengen territories, like Hungary. Now Bulgaria and Romania are part of the Schengen territories, but we also have, for example, Liechtenstein, Germany, obviously, France, and Spain and Italy. The geographical size is not a very big country compared to obviously Germany, France, and Spain. It's quite a small country, but it's also actually not overcrowded and overpopulated. So it's a different feel to what you would experience in,
Uh,
for example. Right. And the population currently, as of 2024, is 9,158,750. It's mostly concentrated in Vienna, of course, the capital. So another thing is, of course, if you are living in Dubai, or if you're living in South Asia, or if you're living in a tropical country, then and you're coming to Europe or Austria for the first time. Of course, there will be a difference in climate, and we also have the four seasons. So we have winter from December to February, spring from March to May, summer from June to August, and autumn from September to November. Yeah, that's funny that you coughed and then unmuted yourself. Great. Anyway, I am also quite a very observant person. So if you have any question, again, please feel free to write them in the chat. We can also talk later after the presentation, unless you have a very, very, very urgent question that you want to ask. The temperatures are varied. You're not going to experience 50 degrees centigrade temperatures, but you're also going to have to deal with freezing temperatures. And there is a month, for example, in Austria, April, where you experience all temperatures, whether it's 0 degrees centigrade, freezing, or it's mild at 15 to 20, or it can actually also be very warm in April. But the warmest it gets is June, July, and August, where we have been known to reach 40 degrees in certain parts of Austria. But in Vienna, I would say in the summer, it's about between 28 degrees to 36 degrees. And with climate change, we're seeing an increase in the hotter temperatures in the summer over time. Right. Federal states of Austria, we have the capital, which is also counted, but it is a capital, it's a city. Then we also have Burgenland in English, Burgenland in German, Lower Austria and Upper Austria. You can see their locations on this map. We have Styria or Steiermark in German, Salzburg, which I think a lot of people know because of the movie The Sound of Music. That's where it happened. That's where it was filmed. Carinthia, Tyrol, and Vorarlberg, right? So these are the federal states, and you also see the capitals on this map. They are all accessible by car and by train. So there are ways to travel. In fact, a lot of people in Vorarlberg, they actually get jobs in Switzerland because it's at the border of Switzerland. And the smart thing about that is that, in Switzerland, everything is just more expensive. So the salaries are higher, but then they cross over to Vorarlberg, which is already Austria. And therefore, they benefit from very high salaries in Switzerland, but they live in Austria, which is actually in terms of the standards of living cheaper than Switzerland. The city of Vienna, this is the map of Vienna. And you can see the little logo of Webster, which is in the second district. So we're located very close to the first district. So we have the names of the different Vienna districts. It's divided, or the city is divided into 23 districts, but the arrangement is in a circular pattern. The first four are in a circle, followed by the next four, surrounded by the next, right? So you can see from the very center, it's number one. That's the first district. And then you have the second district, which is a bit long, and the second district is where Webster Vienna is located. And even though from a numerical perspective, 20th and 22nd are quite high numbers, we're actually at the border or at the edge of the second district. You will arrive in the 22nd and 20th district, plus the third and the first. So it's actually really easy, to live in the 22nd, the 20th district, the third and the first, if you're coming to a university located in the second district. Now, I used to work at the American School in Vienna, which is in the 19th district, so that's northwest. Furthest away, I also currently live right now in the 11th. It's about half an hour from here with public transport. And of course, further away, we have the 14th, which is where you have a lot of hiking trails. And the 22nd is actually being developed right now. It's quite industrial, but it's also being developed into a residential and shopping district. Public transport in Vienna, this is one of the reasons why Vienna has been rated the city with the #1 quality of life. You do not need a car to live in Vienna, Austria. That's very important for you to understand. And compared to other cities like Paris or Milan or Germany, well, Germany is pretty cheap as well, so it's very similar to Austria. But compared to London, for example, or Paris, our public transport is fast, clean, rarely overcrowded. If you are in London, for example, during rush hours, it's so hard to get a spot in the tube. Here with the U-Bahn, with the metro, it's quite easy. Even during rush hours, you can still squeeze in. Worst case scenario, if there is a weather disturbance, you just have to wait for the next train. But basically, it's very punctual. For us, a delay would be like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. That's already something that we are not used to. And I have to say that people in Vienna are actually spoiled because for us, it's already annoying to
Hello,
have.
sorry, can't hear you.
Is anyone?
Dedri, some students have a problem of the voice. So I believe there is some problems like it's breaking in between, literally.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. So what about now? Because I do have my Wi-Fi on and
Yeah, now it's better. It's better. It's not disrupting. Sometimes it gets disrupted in
okay.
between.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
going to try and speak more slowly so that you won't miss some of the words.
Sure. Thanks,
Perfect.
Dedri.
This just is the diagram of the public transport in Vienna. It's not as complicated as you would find in London or Paris, which have very long and several different metro and underground and tube lines that stretch across the city. Here we have four main forms of public transport. We've got the U-Bahn, which you would call the subway or metro. In other countries, we have the Schnellbahn or S-Bahn, which is a local train. It is an actual train that travels long distances. So it basically has stops that are quite far from one another. The Straßenbahn or the tram, which in the US is called a streetcar. So it is what we call a train on the streets, street train. And we have rails on the street, so they travel along with cars, and obviously the buses as well. So all of these modes of public transport are available during the week, and in the weekend, we've actually started offering 24-hour metro services. But for the trams, which finish at around 12 midnight or 1 a.m., they can be replaced by the night buses. Right. So I just wanted to now summarize why Vienna is an amazing destination for students. And, it's not at all unimaginable to come here and live here and eventually, study, finish your degree and work here. A lot of people know Germany. A lot of people know the United Kingdom and France and the Netherlands. But a lot of people don't know enough about Vienna, Austria, which as someone who has lived in Austria for over 20 years, I find quite sad. So that's why I wanted to introduce you to this beautiful city that I've called home for the last 20 years. So So Vienna is in the heart of Europe, geographically and figuratively. It has been ranked the most livable city in the world by The Economist, by Mercer, by Forbes, and for many reasons, such as the quality of life, the public transport, the infrastructure, healthcare, the services, and of course, accessibility and geographic location close to other major European cities. We also are considered a business and diplomatic hub. And again, a lot of people do not know that we also have the United Nations here. The United Nations is not just in New York and in Geneva, but also in Vienna. We have the International Atomic Energy Agency, for example. We have the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC. We also have the World Bank and International Finance Corporation, along with many other non-government organizations and diplomatic missions. We also are home to over 200 multinational corporations' European headquarters here in Vienna. So obviously, we have a lot of expats. To be honest, when I first arrived in Austria, it was a very different country. 20 years ago, most people did not speak English. There was also a rather remarkable unwillingness to speak in English, not because they hated the language, but because they didn't speak that well. And over the last 10 years, it's developed into this international city with a lot of expats, with a realization that they need to be able to communicate in order to support the service industries. This was actually very much an important realization for the Austrians in the years of the pandemic. So as they discovered that they needed to be able to communicate with consumers and clients, they have now massively improved their willingness and ability to speak in English. It is a city of music, so for those people who love classical music, I am sure you know that most of the world's most famous composers have lived and worked in Vienna for a time. And obviously, Mozart is Austrian. He was born in Salzburg, but worked most of his life in Vienna. We also have Strauss and Beethoven. Beethoven was German, but he obviously also worked in Vienna. This was the 19th century's capital of classical music. We have, like I mentioned a few times already, a great geographical location in Europe. We have multiple connections to other major European cities. I travel a lot. Our students travel a lot. You take a train for an hour, you're in Bratislava, or 3 hours in Budapest, or in 4.5 or 5 hours, you're in Prague. Apart from that, we also have direct flights to major European cities. I think we also now have flights. I mean, we have students, for example, that come here precisely because they have direct flights to their home countries. And of course, we have a lot of activities, not just for the very young, but also for the old and young at heart. We have activities for people who are into the arts, in history and architecture, into music, into theater. And for those who are very athletic, we also have a lot of sports opportunities here. And for those who love to walk, I'm happy to say that there is no problem walking in Vienna and enjoying fresh air. This is what I love most about this country, about the city. I can walk and not have any issues at all. It's very safe. And it's not super hot. I mean, it can get hot in the summer, but other than, July and August, the weather is mostly pleasant. If you do not like winter, obviously, you'll probably just be in the museums, which we have a lot of, and enjoying other particular areas of entertainment, for example, the theaters and the opera and the concert halls. So that was all about Vienna. I just want to focus now on our university. This is Webster Vienna Private University. This is the official name of our university located in Vienna, Austria. It's in a building called Palais Wertheim. So palais is the French word actually for palace, and it is actually a palace built in 1826. It was actually the property of one of the royal families of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Eventually, it changed hands and towards different owners, and it became a rentable palace. That was the last location of what we call a Treuhand or a trust fund company and the Financial Market Authority in Austria. So in 2013, Webster University, which is our parent university in the United States, acquired the building. And started building, moving its campus to this particular Halle-Venkheim. And before that, Webster was located in the 22nd district. So it had moved from 3 other locations in Vienna. It started out in the 1st, then moved to the 4th, then moved to the 22nd, and finally here in the 2nd district. The address is Praterstrasse 23, right? And it's in the 2nd district. The postal code is 1020. In Vienna, the postal codes, the 2 middle numbers indicate the district. So if you have a postal code of 1020, then you are in the 2nd district because it's 02 in the middle. If you're in the 1st district, then you would have a postal code of 1010, so 01 for the 1st district. This is, however, very close to the 1st district. It's about 10 minutes away if you walk, right? And actually, that's very fast. If you take the U-Bahn or the metro, it might take you 5 minutes, but to be honest with you, it's not a hassle to walk in Vienna. You just cross over the bridge over the Danube Canal and you're already in the 1st district. It's also very close to a metro station, which is U1, Westplatz. So that's what I use every day to get to work. A little bit of the history of Webster Vienna. So our parent campus is located in St. Louis, Missouri. It was founded in 1915 at Webster University, Webster Groves in St. Louis, Missouri. It was accredited by the Higher Learning Commission in the US in 1925. So it'll celebrate its 100th year of accreditation this year. And of course, it started building because it wanted to be able to spread and have students from different countries, but also have campuses in different countries, starting with Geneva, that's our sister campus, which opened in 1979. And then Vienna opened in 1981 and actually offered the first accredited MBA program in English in 1985. Now, the special thing about Vienna is aside from just, being a European campus of Webster University in the US, it strove for more and wanted to be more than that. And it actually applied for accreditation in Austria. And this is very significant for students who study at Webster Vienna. This actually means you can receive an Austrian or European diploma. 2014, like I mentioned earlier, they bought Halle-Venkheim and then of course moved the campus here. And then 2015, we celebrated the 100th founding year of Webster University, USA. Webster Vienna had celebrated 40 years in 2021. And of course, we're going to celebrate our 45th year very soon. So it is essentially an American university that has Austrian accreditation. And what that means is that because we are part of the Webster University network, we can award an American diploma, but we are also an accredited Austrian university. So we can also award a European diploma because we are accredited in Austria, which is part of the European higher education area. This means that students are eligible to receive 1 American and 1 European diploma, separate transcripts, separate diploma certificates. We have the American curriculum. If you are familiar with the American educational system, in the US, we call it a major, whatever your focus is. And then, of course, you can choose a secondary focus or area of concentration, which we call the minor. The minor is extra work, of course, so I'm not going to recommend it to students who don't want to have so much work. We have small class sizes. I don't know if you've seen, photos of public universities in Austria. They're quite big. So lecture halls that have 200 students, so your professor barely knows you. But we have small class sizes here in Vienna, in Webster Vienna, here in Austria. I mean, it's something that we are actually always mindful of. We don't want too very big class sizes because then it's very easy for a professor for them to actually not be able to take care of each student's needs, answer their questions, give a personalized approach to teaching and learning. We focus on an American style of learning, which focuses on experiential learning. So it's not just about listening to a professor talk for 1.5 hours to 3 hours, taking notes. That is not how learning is done here. Most of the time, the students are interacting with the professors. They discuss different topics. They talk about what they've researched, and they have simulations. For example, in international business law, they have simulated court sessions. And of course, they have field projects and they have office visits to various companies. And of course, there is a very strong focus on soft skills. So it's not just about memorizing material, the very Asian approach, because I also grew up in that particular approach. Not just about memorizing the material and basically repeating and regurgitating what you actually read from your books, right? That is not how it's done here. You're supposed to present, work with different people from different teams, different classmates from different countries, and also learn to negotiate and solve problems and think critically to be able to get to your aim or objective. And because we're also part of the Webster University Network, we also have our exchange opportunities with not just our sister campuses in Webster, but also with the Erasmus Plus program. And just to, now that I've mentioned the exchange opportunities, I just want to mention that Webster University in Europe is also located in 4 different countries. Well, Vienna is included in there. Austria, of course, where we are located. We have Leiden in the Netherlands, we have Geneva in Switzerland, and we have Athens in Greece. Of course, our students can also spend 1 or 2 semesters at the main campus in St. Louis, Missouri. We have some small partner colleges in Florence and Astana. We even had students, now we have 2 students, one in the fall semester of last year and another this semester, who were able to actually get accepted to an exchange program in Harvard University in the United States. Both of these students are top students in our international relations programs. And of course, we also have an online program for the students who would like to pursue their degree online. That, however, is only American. All of these programs from our external partners at Webster or within Webster are American, right? And then we also have our EU Erasmus Plus partners in Prague and in Vilnius and in Warsaw, for example. Right, bachelor's degree programs, just for you to know, how big is Webster Vienna? So Webster Vienna is quite small because we have started out as a European campus. In the United States, we have about 12,000 students, including online students. And here at Webster Vienna, we only have about 450 right now, if you don't include the exchange students from the United States and from other Webster campuses. So right now, we offer 4 main faculties. We have the Business Administration Bachelor of Science degree, where you have to choose an emphasis. At the moment, we have 4 emphases. This might change again next year, depending on the numbers. You might remove human resource management and add data analytics or business law. But this is all still very much a new, updated program. We used to have business administration without an emphasis. So you just came in and you just did, the usual accounting and management and economics and finance, and business technology. But now you can actually specialize. Then we also have Bachelor's of Arts degrees in international relations. So just to clarify, international relations is not communication. It's not a business degree. This is actually a subdiscipline of political science. So if you're into politics, geopolitics, macroeconomics, history, this is the program for you. If you want to work in international organizations, this is the ideal program for you. Strategic communication, this is our newest program, started in 2020. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, this is a combination of public relations, traditional and social media, advertising and marketing, as well as, communication in non-government and multinational corporations. And we also have a BA in psychology. I wanted to mention here, it's not on this slide yet, but we are also developing 2 new programs for 2026, not this year, because we have to go through the American and the Austrian accreditation process. We are hoping to start a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science in 2026, in September 2026. That is still being discussed and should go through accreditation this year. If we're successful, then we will offer it in 2026. And we also have the LLB, which is the Bachelor of Law program. This law program will focus on corporate and finance law, international law, and business law. So those are the 3 different specializations or tracks or emphases. Again, this is something we're planning for 2026. We will, of course, announce it to our agent partners like SINA once these programs have been accredited and are ready to be offered. Bachelor's degree programs as an American university, we have a 4-year bachelor's degree program. So for those who already are thinking, oh my God, do I have to do a preparation or foundation program? No, because we accept different diplomas that are recognized in each country. So We even have students who are 17 when they start because they finish earlier than most other countries. So, for example, students from Ukraine or Kazakhstan. For the students who are coming from a recognized national diploma program that allows you to enter your own university system, you can immediately apply to the university program, but you do need to finish in 4 years if you are full-time. If you are attending an international school or you have children attending an international school with the IB diploma program, with advanced placement courses from the United States, or with the A levels or GCE, then you also get credits for those particular exams that you get good scores in. And you can actually, save time and money because you don't have to take certain courses here. What do we look for in our program applicants, right? First of all, we do not require German proficiency, but we do require academic proficiency in English. So that will definitely be required unless you are already attending an American school or an American university if you're applying for master's, or if you've already attended an international or British school for at least 3 years, right? So you will not need to submit an English test. Otherwise, you have to submit an IELTS test or a TOEFL test or a Cambridge test. We accept several different tests with minimum scores that allow you to enter the regular program. However, you also need to show that you can handle the academic rigor, which means that we have to look at the transcript from the secondary school program for the last 3 years if you have not finished it. So that's going to be important, and that's a part of the application. It has to be uploaded on the online application. You need an original essay, which has to be done without copying from sources that are not referenced or from AI, right? So if you are going to use a paragraph out of AI, you have to reference it. We're not saying you should never use it, but if you use it, you have to acknowledge the fact. But of course, please don't have AI write the entire essay. That is not it's just not acceptable, and you could be denied admission if you do that. And of course, we have a one recommendation letter and a copy of a valid passport. The reason being that we want to make sure that we have your correct official legal name on all of our records. Master's programs, we only have 3 at the moment, one of which will eventually not be offered because we're going to change it. So currently we have a Master of Arts in International Relations, again, an offshoot or a sub-discipline of political science. And of course, we also have a counseling psychology program, which unfortunately we're going to change soon. So our last admissions intake will be in this year, in the fall semester. And then next year, we're going to develop a new psychology master's program. We also, of course, have the very popular Master of Business Administration, also completely in English. These are 2-year programs, right? Because of the Austrian requirements for research, you cannot finish them in 1 year. So that's very important to point out. You can probably finish them in 1.5 years, but no shorter than that. And you're obviously not allowed to get bad grades in the class because you'll have to repeat the course. Bachelor's degree, of course, would be required for you to enter the master's degree. Because of the university accreditation requirements, there's no such thing as an accelerated experience program. You really have to present a bachelor's degree in order to start a master's degree in Europe in general, right? So you can't just go into some type of program that a certificate program, for example, doesn't require a bachelor's, but for a university program, you have to. In Europe, you have to show that you are finishing or have finished a bachelor's degree. Again, English proficiency is going to be important, obviously, because this is not going to be social English. This is not a party where you just speak a few things, say a few things about yourself and your background. This is highly academic. You end up with a master's thesis that you have to publicly defend. So that's the requirement. A CV or a resume. An essay on a required topic. Our website will show you the essay topic, and that's what you have to write about with about 650 words. And of course, there is also actually an interview. So you have to have an interview with a faculty member, a professor of the department. We also have special program requirements. Obviously, if you're taking MBA and we would want to see that you already have enough business knowledge and you actually have a theoretical foundation of accounting, economics, finance, business technology, marketing, and so on, right? So you have to show that you have finished an accredited business bachelor's degree or management or economics or finance or related subjects within the last 5 years. If you don't have this, let's say you've taken psychology or you've done political science, but now want to do an MBA. It doesn't mean you can't. You can apply for MBA, but you have to take an extra course. It's called Business 5000, which covers all of the core professional competencies that someone with a business degree has completed. And this is an online 9-week course that you can do before you arrive in Vienna. And you do have to get a grade of B in that class. For the counseling psychology, which is obviously we're not going to continue after this year, we require a bachelor's degree in psychology. Intakes and deadlines. So the reason why we have an earlier deadline for non-EU citizens is because you have to apply for an Austrian student residence permit. And this process can take 4 months. They say it's 3 months. That is not true. Immigration takes 4 months. So that's why you have an earlier deadline for the fall intake. For EU citizens, of course, they can apply if there's still a place by end of July. However, there would be no new student scholarships available, and there would be not a lot of classes available for them to take. New student scholarship deadline application, that's actually, there's a missing month there. It's actually May 31. So that I have to correct later on after this particular presentation. We have a spring intake except for the MBA, where the classes start in February. And for non-EU students, we want them to submit all application requirements by August 31. EU students by December 7. Again, no more scholarships available. So even EU citizens are supposed to apply earlier. And of course, we have a deadline of November 30. Now, very important requirement for the scholarship is that you should have already been admitted. I'm seeing a lot of admissions requirements. I'm hoping you're following this presentation. We do not have medicine, unfortunately, so that's not something. In Austria, you have to speak German to enter medicine. The email address will be at the end of the presentation. And of course, there is a difference in requirements eventually for the new programs that we will have. Right, so just again, for the deadlines, if you want to apply for a scholarship, if you want to have enough time to get a student residence permit, you will apply 5 months earlier, right? So July 31 is only for the EU citizens for the fall semester. Non-EU citizens, you have to apply by March and submit all the documents that we need. For the spring intake, again, August 31 is the deadline for non-EU citizens because they would need a residence permit. And for EU citizens, again, if there are EU citizens in this presentation, you have to apply. You can apply later, but you won't get any scholarship anymore. We'll just go. So I wanted to first focus on the annual living costs in, just see if I missed a slide. Yeah, no, deadlines were there. Right, so for the annual living and other costs in Austria, now most of you probably know how much it would cost to live in the United States or in the United Kingdom. It's good for you to see, and yes, computer science will start from 2026. We are going through accreditation process this year, so fall 2026. But living and housing, so when you apply, let's say you were already accepted to a university here with us or with another Austrian university, you would have to show proof of financial capability. And Austrian immigration bases it on your age and whether you're single, right? So for single students that are below, I don't know why it's based on age. Please don't ask me, that's an immigration regulation. But students who are below 24 years of age are supposed to show at least 8,072 euros in their bank account for 1 year, right? This is supposed to be, there's no need for a blocked account, but the bank account has to be in the student's name. Or if the bank account is someone else's name, it has to, that person who owns that account should confirm that the student has full access to the money in that account, right? Very important. For those who are 24 years old and above, you have to show almost 15,000 euros in your bank account to show that you can live in Austria. Now, if you eventually show a rental contract for a particular accommodation, dormitory, or apartment that is very expensive, they will ask for more money in your account because obviously, if you're paying 1,000 euros per month for your apartment, you would have to spend more than 14,000 a year. So obviously, when you submit your rental agreements or your rental contracts, and they're quite expensive, you should show that you can afford them. It's very important. And you need to show And this residence permit is renewed yearly, so you don't have to show it in the next 4 years. It's just for that 1 year, the first year. Right. Now, housing, unlike American universities, we are not the type of university where we have a dormitory. That's not our business. This is a very European style university. We have different accommodation providers. I'll show you some of them later. Now, for those who really want to go with our partners, if you do want your own space with your own little kitchen and fully furnished, the prices tend to be higher. The good news is that we have no accommodation issues here in Austria, or specifically in Vienna. I'm not sure if you've heard, but we've had housing issues in Copenhagen in Denmark, in Dublin in Ireland, and of course in the Netherlands has had housing issues for public university students because there are so many foreign students in the Netherlands. So they have these housing issues. And the only, I think, issue in Austria is, of course, it's definitely not going to be as cheap as if you go, for example, to Hungary or to the Czech Republic. So the price for an ensuite room, ensuite meaning fully furnished, your own bathroom, your little kitchen, it can be from anywhere from 880 euros a month to 1,200 euros per month, depending on how nice your amenities are and what your dormitory's location would be, or your apartment's location would be. For a shared room in a dormitory, 2 people in a shared space, you would be paying around 580 euros to 800 euros, again, depending on how fully furnished your apartment or your dormitory is and how nice the amenities are. Health insurance is a requirement for all students here, but it's not very expensive, and it covers a lot of medical and health conditions. So it's about 840 to 960 euros per year, right? It would cover a lot. Public insurance covers anyway everything except maybe cosmetic procedures. So emergencies, illnesses that really need to be, you have to be confined, checkups, at least once a year. These are all covered. You can actually do this in Vienna. The public insurance is available once you arrive and are registered as a resident of Vienna. Otherwise, before you come to Austria, you need to have travel health insurance, which we also have partners for. So you could go to our partners almost the same price per month, unless you have a pre-existing illness. And of course, as we know from insurance, the older you are, the higher costs. Public transport for students is discounted. So anyone below 26 years of age, if they're still studying, would only pay 160 euros per year for 2 semesters. If you were like me and you're already working in Austria, I pay 265 euros a year for the entire public transport system in Vienna. So that's €1 a day. And that covers your metro, your buses, your trams, and your city trains. Now, if you were looking at your estimated total expenses for the 1 year with our tuition fees, because they're a bit higher, with no scholarships, you'd be looking at expenses of about 33,000 to 40,000 euros a year with our tuition fees. Now, of course, if you are actually very lavish in your expenses, you'd need more, obviously. But if you compare it with other countries like Paris, for example, or cities in Switzerland, you need more. So the next slide is about tuition fees. Now, we have not yet posted our tuition fees for 2025 because we are still in the 2024-2025 academic year. For now, these are our tuition fees without scholarships. So for tuition fees at the bachelor's degree level, we do not actually charge you by year. We charge you by semester. And 1 year has 2 semesters. There is an optional summer term, but this is not required. Anyway, a semester fee for full-time students, because you can also be part-time, even if you need a residence permit. Currently, it's 11,739 for 1 semester. So for 1 year with 2 semesters is 23,478 euros. We are expecting an increase for inflation of about 2% in the coming academic year, so it's not going to increase by much. Now, for those who want to study part-time, we actually charge them by credit. So depending on how many classes you're taking, that's how much you'll pay. As soon as you hit 4 classes or 12 US credits, you are full-time. So be very careful about that. For residence permit renewals, you don't need to be full-time because all of our classes are quite heavy with credits because there's a lot of work. You can't just pass. you'll need to put a lot of effort to pass the classes. For the master's degrees, there is no fixed tuition fee by semester. For the master's degree programs, we only give you an estimate because you could get 3 or 4 courses per semester, and that would change your tuition fee because we charge by course or by credit per semester. Currently, for the MBA and Master of Arts in International Relations programs, for the entire 2 years, you'd be spending about 30,600. If you add inflation, you'll probably be spending 31,000 euros for the entire 2 years. For the psychology program, which has more courses, right now it's almost 41,000 euros for the 2-year program. Scholarships and grants. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a sponsored scholarship for 100%. The highest we give to our new students is 50% with the condition that they maintain a good Sorry? Is that Lucia and me? You're not on mute. Yeah, so I will share the presentation with our partner Sina, and you can contact Sina here so she can send you a copy of the presentation. For the new student scholarships, students, again, new students, which means you were already accepted. You cannot apply for a scholarship before you are admitted. There is no way you can actually answer the scholarship form because it will require your student ID number, which is only generated after you are admitted. So please do not email us for the scholarship form if you haven't even applied. You're not going to get the form. Thank you. Right. So first step, you have to be accepted because then by that point, we will know how you write, what your recommendation looks like, what your transcript looks like, what your English level is, and of course, what your grades are. So after you're admitted, you can apply for the scholarship. We award 3 different levels of scholarships for the bachelor's degree program. We have the 4,000, 7,000, and 12,000 per year scholarships. That will be about 15%, 20%, and 50% of the tuition fees. We look at 2 things, right? We look at your grades and your financial need. Both are required, not one or the other, but both. Same with the masters. We start at 3,000 per year to 5,000 per year to 8,000 per year for 2 years. Again, there's no need to reapply every year. You just have to maintain your good grades. By good grades, we mean in the ABCDF system, we want you to get a B. That's your average. That's a 3.0 GPA out of a 4.0 perfect GPA in the American system. Now, once you are a student at Webster Vienna, we also have what we call a training scholarship. So many of our departments require help for many of their projects, whether it's a research project, it's an archiving project in the library, it's a finance project with auditing reports. So we actually offer it to our own students per semester as an opportunity to work with a department. For example, in the marketing department, we want someone to help us prepare for all of our events and for all of our recruitment fairs. So we need someone who can organize our brochures, put together the materials that we need, and of course, help us out with our events. So this would be about 10 hours of work a week. And a student who gets that particular type of training scholarship will get a discount of 2,200 euros off their semester fee. A master's degree student who has a 10-hour training scholarship, 10-hour per week training scholarship, will get 2,500 euros off their semester tuition fee. Now, is this something you can renew? No, you have to apply for it every semester, but you can also change your department. So you don't have to be stuck in the marketing department. You don't have to be stuck in the events department. You can always switch. And if you're someone who did a very good job, different departments will actually want you to work for them. So just a reminder, this is also something you can put on your CV. If you're a bachelor's degree student, it's important to start gaining experience even before you graduate, because even now, even new graduates, fresh graduates are asked for internship and work experience. So it's quite competitive now, and therefore it's good to have this experience, even if you're working within the university. We also have legacy grants available for students whose parents, brothers, sisters studied at Webster. So they get a 10% grant for immediate family members, or a 10% discount, and a 5% discount for distant family members like grandfathers, grandmothers, cousins, for example. So you get a 5% discount. Obviously, you'll have to prove the relationship A second degree grant for students who did one degree at Webster and then wants to do another degree at Webster Vienna. They get a 20% discount once they submit an application for the grant. This is only, of course, after they are admitted and are about to enroll in their classes. Right. One other thing that we have, now I know this might not be applicable to most of you because you already speak English, but we also have students from certain countries that require additional English language preparation. This is quite hefty. I'll be the first to admit this is quite a very intensive and expensive course to take in a semester. So if you already are very good in English, you won't need this, or if you need some improvement, I would do it in your home country. But if you want to do it in Vienna, that is up to you if you can afford it, of course. It's not I don't force students into this program. But if your scores in certain English tests are a little bit below our requirements, and I'll be very honest, having worked in an international school, in an American international school, our requirements are actually not very bad. They're not very harsh, but if you're still below those requirements, you can obviously go into our English preparation program. This is intensive because it's every day from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday to Thursday. It's very intensive. It does cost a lot per semester, so 6,500 euros per semester. And you are allowed up to 2 semesters, and then you can enter the regular program. In each semester, you get to take an IELTS test. If you manage to get the minimum requirements for the IELTS test for regular programs, that's a 6.0 for bachelor's and a 6.5 for master's. You can then start your regular program in the next semester. This is what I mentioned earlier. These are 3 of our partner accommodation providers for students. We have on the top right-hand corner, that's TSH. It used to be called the Student Hotel. Now it's called the Social Hub, TSH. So that's the closest to us. You can walk to it in 15 minutes. Very big building. It's a combination of a hotel and a student dormitory, but it is quite, it's not the most affordable. It's about 900 euros a month. We get a discount now and then, but it's not, obviously it's not the cheapest. Then we have district living, that skyscraper you see in the middle. It's actually beside the United Nations in Vienna, which is 3 metro stops away from Webster. So that, depending on which floor you're at, the higher your floor is, the more expensive it is. So if you're on the lower floors, you're actually getting smaller apartments, so they're cheaper. It could be like 880, 850 euros a month. But the higher you go in the skyscraper, because of the view, the more expensive it is. We also have Milestone, which is another partner close to the Prater Park, the Prater Amusement Park, and that is about 850 euros a month as well. So very similar in price. They all have fitness rooms. You can rent bikes. You actually have a laundry room. You have study rooms. You have social rooms for parties and events. So a lot of these things. Apart from these things, we also have public university dormitories, which are open to everyone. So they're a bit cheaper, but they are mostly shared. So that is where you can probably pay 550 euros per month, and there are 2 of you in the room. The room is, of course, very spacious, so you don't have to worry about that. And of course, we also have 2 search engines or 2 websites where you can search for flat sharing opportunities. So people who are already living in an apartment and want to share the costs with a roommate or a flatmate, you can actually contact them directly and look at the pictures, visit the place if you've already received your residence permit or are able to come to Austria on a tourist visa or don't need a tourist visa to come to Austria. This is something you can explore. And then, of course, it's much cheaper to do flat sharing in Vienna because you're going to be in an apartment with 3 other people or 2 other people. So obviously the costs would be lower. And again, because of the amazing public transport in Vienna, you don't have to worry about, not being able to make it to your classes on time because of the efficient public transport system. So yeah, all of the information on our housing opportunities and housing partners are available on our website as well, which I will show you in a moment. Right. Actually, this is my final slide. And of course, we could go on our website if you have any specific questions. But just for your information, there are different Websters in different countries. We have Webster USA, Webster, Netherlands, Webster, Switzerland, Webster, Greece, Webster, Uzbekistan, Tashkent and Samarkand. We also have Webster, Georgia. We have Webster, China for the MBA program. We all have different email addresses and different websites. So please be careful how you write the website or the email address, right? So Webster Vienna's website is webster.ac.at. This is the extension .ac.at for universities in Austria and academic institutions. Our email address is admissions@webster.ac.at. This is the correct email address for Vienna. Now, if you have a question about Webster Geneva, Webster Netherlands, Leiden, Webster Greece, of course you can write to us and we will connect them with you. But my team in admissions processes applications for Webster Vienna students, and my team in advising will help students finish their degree at the most efficient possible time, right? So I am now ready for questions in case there are questions that come up.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dedri, for insightful presentation today. We had deep knowledge about Webster Vienna, and I believe a lot of questions have already been answered. So, but we do have few more questions in the chat box, which I'm going to read to you. So, one of the students wants to know what are the documents required for admission?
Right, so we have the slide where we had a summary, but what I'm going to do to actually help you out is to show you where on the website you can find it. I'm going to stop sharing. This is what I like to do when I have a presentation, is show where on the website it would be. And
Sure.
so I am going to show you our website. I hope everyone can see this.
Yes.
Perfect. Right, so this is our website. You can see webster.ac.at. And on this particular website, you actually have to go to the heading Academics or Attend Webster. So if you want to see the programs, you go to Academics, and then for admissions, you have Attend Webster and then Admissions. So normally we have an online application. There is no paper form. I received an email 1 week ago saying, do you have a PDF application form? Of course not. We're not in the 1900s, right? So we're not even in the year 2000. So 2025, everything is online. And here on this webpage, you can find a ton of information about the deadlines for bachelor's and master's. You've got the application steps and required documents. There is an online application form, yeah, where you have to create an online account with your email address. Be very careful. We use the American terms undergraduate for bachelor's and graduate for master's. So you have to complete your online application, a copy of your passport, your transcripts from the last 3 years, your English proficiency test scores, your essay, and on this particular webpage, you can actually find the essay topics and suggestions. The same for the master students, where the essay topics are actually specific questions based on the degree you want to take, right? So for the bachelor students, there are 5 questions you can choose from. You have to write 300 to 500 word essays on any one of these topics. Obviously, if you want to write your own personal motivational statement, you can also do that. That is not a problem. And you need a recommendation form or a reference form from one of your teachers or school counselors. For the master's degree students, we have the additional CV requirement, your curriculum vitae, to see what work experience you have. And then, of course, we schedule every master's degree applicant has to also pass an interview with the faculty member of the specific academic department. For bachelor's degree students, if we see that there is no consistent performance, for example, your grades are quite borderline, or your writing skills are not that strong, or you're borderline for your English proficiency, or there's a red flag on your recommendation letter, or in general, you didn't actually communicate very well with your admissions officer, we can do an interview, and we can also interview you for English proficiency, or, to find out why you didn't perform consistently in your secondary school, for example, why your grades are up and down. So these are the things we want to find out. The reason being, you are investing a lot of money for your education, and we have to make sure you're going to be successful. This is not a university that just wants you to come so you can pay, right? It's about being successful because we want you to graduate. So this is not about getting you to come here and then paying us money. We want you to graduate. And so if you cannot even handle an application process, there is no chance you will graduate. It's one small project. So, and for the English proficiency test, you can actually see all of the tests and the minimum scores that we accept at Webster, right? Minimum scores for bachelor's, minimum score for master's. We also have exceptions to the rule. So, for example, American, British, Irish, Canadian, Australian citizens normally don't have to submit an English test score because that's their native language, right? Now, there is a Sina, do you want to go and read the questions? I can also read it.
Yes, sure. So post-study work opportunities is one of the questions.
Right. Actually, so there are two things I think the question means is like, how do we help you with post-study work opportunities? So first of all, while you're a student, you should already be involved in many different activities. That's the first thing, because we have a career services department that already invites a lot of HR managers to our university. There's always a career services event. There's always a career lunch or a career visit. You have to be involved. You're not supposed to just go home immediately after your class. There are announced visits, announced events, and you have to be there because you could also be offered an internship while you're a student here. Our most successful students were the ones who were already in internships while they were students. So please don't wait until you graduate. Second, yes, and two things. First of all, because we're an accredited Austrian university, if you graduate with an Austrian diploma, you can apply for a 1-year extension of your student residence permit in order to find a job. So you have a year after graduation to find work. Once you find work, and there's not even a minimum salary anymore, that used to be the law, that you have to have a minimum salary to get a work permit. Now it just has to be related to your degree. If you get a job, you can then switch to a work permit. Initially for 2 years, it's called the red, white, red card because the flag of Austria is red, white, red. So it's called an RWR card. You stay with one employer for 2 years, and then you extend it into a red, white, red plus, RWR plus card, which means it's an additional 3 years. This time you can switch employers. And after that, you can apply for permanent residency. So this is the permanent residency track. If you learn German in the process, obviously you can apply for citizenship in your 6th year. If you're at a very good German level already. Now, post-work opportunities, like I said, we have a career services department. It's better to start early while you're still a student, but if you manage to graduate and you haven't found any opportunities, you can also schedule appointments with our career services advisor who can help you apply for jobs and prepare for interviews and find opportunities for you. But like I said, because it's competitive, we want students to start before they graduate. We want you to start with internships, which is a good way of getting your foot in the door and being recognized by employers as being a very good, talented employee. And so eventually they'll offer you a position if they have an opening. So it's important to collect, first of all, expand your network. Networking is very important. And of course, to also look for those opportunities before you graduate. So you have a ton of choices once you finish your degree here. I also mentioned you don't have to be full-time, right? You don't have to be full-time. So you can take your time. If you do get a job, you can also go part-time. So that's a possibility. There's a very good question that just came up now. The reason why we are offering computer science in the following year, let's say everything goes well with accreditation this year, is because IT is a very in-demand skill in Austria. It is actually very much in demand. There are some finance and technical professions that also require additional manpower in Austria. And so we have a list of shortage occupations where people will get a work permit immediately and won't find it hard to find a good opportunity to work in Austria. But yes, it is actually there is a pathway towards permanent residence in Austria, and a pathway to citizenship. And so it's a lot easier to actually find. And as a graduate of an Austrian accredited university, they're not going to look at the shortage anymore. They're just going to allow you to look for a job. And if you find something related to your degree, you can switch to a work permit. So there is that opportunity to do in Austria. But again, it's harder to come in if you just want to work immediately. That's very hard. It's very hard to come to Austria without having finished a degree here. So really, if you do well in your studies and you're already building your network as you're a student, as you're attending our university, you're definitely going to find an opportunity. But of course, you also have to do your part. So it's not just us. You know, you have to be a good student. You have to be a good intern. You have to be a very good employee. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you so much, Dedri. So I think almost all questions have been answered, but one of the questions that was earlier written was internship opportunities in Vienna. So I believe it would be the same like job opportunities like you discussed, right?
Yes, and actually, usually what we do is we do invite the HR managers. For example, we had KPMG last year. We had KPMG and Ernst and Young. These are very big accounting firms worldwide that also have their big offices in Vienna. So they came to us. They even invited us to their offices. We went to Austrian Airlines and they did a talk about their career opportunities and their internships. We have internships in the United Nations at OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which is in the first district. We also have opportunities in different banks here. So Erste Bank, Raiffeisen, UniCredit. They also send us their openings and their internships. And we actually have a portal called Job Teaser, which is available for our students. And here you can actually find the openings and and also the events that are happening in Vienna for internships. For our degree programs, we do not require them, but whenever we have opportunities, we post them to our students. Again, it doesn't work if you're just studying and then going home immediately and not participating in any of these events. It's very important that the student is proactive, attending events regularly, and forming contacts and expanding their network. So, but we've never really had any issues. I think majority of our students who waited until graduation struggled a bit, but normally within the first 6 months after graduation, many of our students who actually went to our career services department had found a good opportunity and were able to stay. So again, start early. Don't wait until 1 year or 9 months after you graduate.
All right, Dedri, thank you so much. I believe that answered the question pretty well. So in case anyone has any further questions, you can definitely write us. I'm sharing our email address with you with our website link. You can connect with me and I will further connect you with Dedri in case you have any further questions regarding admission procedures or regarding scholarships or any other questions. Please feel free to write us. I have shared all our contact details, email IDs, and upcoming webinars as well. So we keep on doing off and on webinars with Dedri and their faculties as well. So in case in future we have any of the webinars, we will surely keep you posted. And also we will share the presentation with you. If you need, please do let us know, or whoever has asked for it, we have already noted down the name. We will surely share it with you. So, Dedri, thank you so much for an insightful presentation today. Really appreciate it. And I would request all the participants, if they are interested, please do get in touch. Vienna is an absolutely amazing country. You must explore Vienna. If you want to go and visit it before you decide, you surely should. It is one of the most livable cities in the world. And also, since you will get a dual diploma, American and Austrian, so it will be definitely worth it. So please do write us and let us know if you want us, our help in order to do your applications. We would surely help you. Deadline dates already, as Dedri said, it's better to apply as early as possible so that you can get enough time to plan and prepare for your visa, for your accounts, and other things which are required for your process abroad. So once again, thank you so much, Dedri. We will definitely let you know in case we have any questions or any inquiries from the students. And in case anyone is interested to apply, we will surely let you know. And we will surely definitely take the documents from the students and send you for an evaluation as well before we finally onboard them.
Perfect. Thank you so
So
much. Have a nice weekend. It's Friday here. We're closing soon, but yeah, I really look forward to meeting students from your agency, and hopefully we can have some of them. We can meet some of them in September or maybe early next year.
definitely, Dedri, definitely, we will surely look forward to it. Thank you
Right.
so much once again. Have a lovely evening ahead. And thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
You have a nice weekend.
You too. Have a lovely day. Bye. Thank you everyone for joining. Have a lovely day ahead. And you can see on my screen the email address and the phone number details. Please do get in touch in case you are looking for any program related to non-med or medicine. We specialize in medicine programs as well throughout Europe and UK. So please do write to us, call us, contact us, and we would definitely help you with your overall admission process. And we would also help you with all of your queries regarding scholarships, accommodations, post study work opportunities in the countries that you're looking forward to. So please feel free to contact us. I have shared the details, and I would really request everyone to follow our Instagram and Facebook pages so that we can keep you updated about further upcoming webinars that we are going to conduct with universities worldwide. So we keep on doing these webinars off and on every month. And we also do some subject specific webinars with the universities. So please do feel free to register and subscribe on our social media platforms so that you will be updated about these upcoming webinars and you can register. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Thanks again for joining. Bye.